Hey all, Tony Bing here, hello and welcome back to another in-depth review for Marvel Strike Force. Now this is a pretty special review tonight with this character being covered. That's actually an in-depth review for every single named character in the game that will now be complete. Now the character we're covering is the awesome Ultron, and in this video I'll generally run over sections to let you know if a character's worth investing in, but I'll say straight away that Ultron is worth investing in and worth actually aiming for. But the sections we'll cover anyway. You've got the general overview, it's his tags and how you unlock them. We then have a look at his stats. Next up it's the abilities. We then have the synergies, and then finally we see where he places in the tier list. So let's start off with the general overview. Ultron then is probably the hardest character to unlock in the game. He's even more difficult to unlock than Optimus, but he's a whole lot better than Optimus and he's certainly worth the effort. Now, in order to unlock him you need to beat the Fear the Darkness node. I won't go into it too much, but one of the keys to beating Fear the Darkness is to get Minerva up to tier 13, so that's something you want to do. Now, Ultron anyway, he's a blaster, he can put out a ton of damage, and he calls in quite a lot of Ultron bots who can put out a nice amount of damage, and he has a whole lot of his kit that actually works around buffs and can make him incredibly strong. Now tag wise it's Villain, Global, Tech and Blaster. The Blaster one's great because he can help you absolutely smash the Blaster challenge, and the Tech one's great as well because the Tech tag is a really nice tag as it is. Throw in Ultron and it gets even tastier. So that's the overview. Let's have a look at his stats. We start off here with the offensive stats, then his damage rating is up at an A. If I had such a classification as an A+, it would actually be up as an A+, because it's incredible the amount of damage you can put out alongside the minions as well. His speed is very average, it comes in at 107, which is a C rating, but he does have to have some downsides in his kit, and he would be unbelievably OP. His focus is a C as well. Now on his basic he has the ability to cleanse, so it means that cleanse won't always take effect, but once again there are going to be some areas of his kit that are a little bit lower just to keep him ever so balanced, although he is still incredibly powerful. Now that's the offensive stats. Let's have a look at the defensive ones. Defensive stat wise then he does incredibly well. He's actually get A's across the board, so that's health, armour and resistance that are all up at A ratings, meaning it's incredibly hard to take him down. It's incredibly hard to apply any kind of debuffs on him or cleanse him if he's got buffs. And also you've got the fact that when we look at the abilities, you'll see once you take him down he comes back up again, so he can be a right nightmare. Now with the stats covered, let's have a look at the abilities. With this abilities section here then I'll show off the ability maxed out, and then I'll let you know how high you actually want to level it. Now the first one we look at is a passive, which is Ultron Prime. So with this one, if health is full at the start of a match, so this would mean that as long as you're not going into the likes of a raid where your health may not be at maximum, then you revive once with 50% of this character's max health, which is very nice due to the fact his health rating is way up at an A, so getting 50% of that back when he's downed is awesome. Also on kill, this character and all villain tech allies, and we'll look at the villain tech allies later on in the video, but all of them have all positive effect prolonged by a duration of 1, which can be incredibly nice with various different setups you run. Now the difference from level 4 to level 5, other than the precious tier 4 materials, is that on kill you'll prolong effects, or you'll prolong 4 positive effects as opposed to all positive effects. Because you can get a ton of positive effects on characters with Ultron, I would say it's worthwhile upgrading this one all the way to level 5. The next skill we look at here is the basic called Disintegration Beam. Now with this one, you attack the primary target for 340% damage, you steal 2 positive effects, and that works really nice with his ultimate once we get to that, and you also clear taunt as well. Now as we've mentioned already, because his focus is on the lower side, you won't always be clearing this taunt, but having this damage, having the fact to actually steal positive effects, and having the possibility of clearing a taunt on a basic is still pretty awesome. Now in regards to how high you want to take it, the difference from level 6 to 7 is only 70%, So I would say take it to level 6, and I'll also just mention as well, if you get an assist with Ultron, then the cleanse portion or the clear taunt portion can still actually work as well, so it's pretty awesome to see that. So that's the basic, take us up to level 6. For the special we have a skill called Factory Upgrade. Now it's 7 turns to charge and comes fully charged, so you will use this turn 1. 7 turns seems a lot, but when we get to the ultimate we'll see there are actually ways to get this up a lot faster. Now for the specifics of what this does, you summon 3 Ultron minions at 340% normal damage and 100% of normal health, and you apply defense up to self and all Ultron minion allies for 2 turns. Now the minions that come in have a basic and a special attack. The special attack adds a buff, and depending on the one that comes in, you can add defense up, you can add speed up, or you can even add regen, and that's to Ultron and all the other minions. So that can be incredibly nice, and very early on in the match you can get a ton of buffs upon almost your whole team. Now the difference from level 6 to 7 is a small amount of damage on the minions, but also rather than summoning 3 minions guaranteed, you'll summon between 2 to 3. Because the minions are so important, and that additional minion can give you another buff for all your minion and Ultron characters that you don't have yet, I would say that you want to max this one out as well. The final ability we look at here is called Purge System. Now it takes 8 turns to charge, and it's 2 turns before you can use it, so you'll cast your summon first and you generally follow up with this. Now with this skill you attack the primary target for 700% piercing damage, which is absolutely insane. Because it's full piercing, it completely ignores armor on targets. Also with this ability deals double damage against targets with defense up, so it means it essentially nullifies defense up on protector characters, and it just burns through the armor as well. Absolutely incredible. Also with this, if it wasn't nice enough already, you gain 1 ability energy per positive effect on self. In the testing I've been able to do with them, on average I was getting round about between 4 and 5 ability energy when casting this, which means you would cast your summon, you would cast this, and then a lot of times on the second turn you were very close to being able to call in your summons once again, which means you could then call in more buffs from them, and it really was pretty awesome. Now the difference on this one from 6 to 7 is 80% piercing damage, so this is another one that you want to upgrade, so make sure you get saving all your tier 4 orange materials for unlocking Ultron, because you're going to need them. Now that's the awesome abilities covered, so let's have a look at his synergies. When it comes to characters Ultron can work well with, primarily they come down to the characters that interact with the passive, where you extend the positive buffs on tech villain characters when he actually defeats an enemy. So characters that would include that can get a lot of buffs on them would be Crossbones, Korath, Merc Lieutenant, Minerva, and also Nebula. Now other characters that can work well due to the tech tag or vision, he can provide defense up on Ultron before he's able to cast his special and apply it on himself, giving him a nice bit of survivability to stop him from being burned down. And you've also got Iron Man, who can provide him with the additional crit chance. Now looking at the tags for Ultron's minions, they have the tech tag as well, so although it's impossible to really test, I'm fairly certain that the additional crit rate will apply to the minions that he calls in as well, so that can be really nice there. Now that's the characters he works well with. Let's look at the characters you want to avoid. So this section here is characters you want to avoid, but because so many people won't have Ultron for so long, you can use this more as a characters you can use to potentially counter him. Now due to all the buffs he'll be putting up on himself, characters that can work well would include Doctor Strange and Venom, because they can flip them. We know from the latest development blog that Vulcan will work exceptionally well against characters that put up a lot of buffs on them, so that means that Ultron would be a target for him. You then have characters that can cleanse the buffs, so that would include the likes of Pyro and Vision. Vision also has ability blocks, so that means he's stuck using the basic, and he can actually cast this so quick that Ultron won't have a chance to call in his summons, so that can work really nice. You've got Ant-Man, who's a bit slow, and Ultron will call in his summons, but he can then put the 2-turn ability blocks stopping him from using that ultimate and the 700% pierce damage, so that can help out. With the ultimate as well, it's not actually unavoidable or anything like that, so you can cast Blind via Star-Lord so that you can waste it. And then finally, because he is a villain, you've got the likes of Daredevil or Punisher that do really nice damage against villain characters, so they can be ones that can hopefully burn them down quick enough and then burn them down once again once he comes back up again. But that's the characters that can work well against them, or if you have them, that's the characters you want to avoid. Next up, let's have a look and see where he places in the tier list. So for quite some time then on the tier list, you can see we've had a section at the top left which has been blank. So that's your high and mega section. Will Ultron place there? So before we do actually place him, I'll just mention some of the pros and cons. So you've got the cons, which will be his average speed and also his average focus. It is also a huge investment to actually get him unlocked, because you need to get your characters up to tier 13, but you can use those characters in other modes as well, so that can pay off. Do make sure as well that you're actually taking Minerva up as one of your 5 characters. In regards to the pros, if I was to run over them all again, I would probably double the length for this video, so it's everything I've really covered and I've gave a very glowing review of already. He really is absolutely amazing and he is worth the effort. Now with all that in mind, he would be the first and the only character we have at the moment to be a high and mega rating. I'm not sure in future if we'll get other characters like that. Will Ultimus ever get his buff and move up to there? Fingers crossed, because I do have him at 5-star, almost 6-star, but for now Ultron really is the one above all, and he's a high and mega character. He's absolutely incredible. As soon as you can and you've got the resources, start focusing on getting through the Fear the Darkness mode to get him unlocked, and he'll completely transform so much of the game for you. So as always, let me know in the comments below what you think of what you've seen of Ultron so far. If you've unlocked him, let me know how you're getting on with him, and thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all again soon.